Hello again, it's Friday the 27th of December. I'm going to take a look at some altcoins. Well, I'm going to start with the most bullish chart of 2025 for me for altcoins. I have spoken to so many people who say they feel like they missed out on so much of the altcoins, that they got out of all the utility coins that they were holding forever because they felt like the only ones that were moving were memes, and as soon as they did that, all of the utility coins took off. And there's an awful lot of people who feel like they haven't got there yet or missed the boat, and I feel that that's because we haven't had the proper alt season yet. We haven't had the alt season where it doesn't matter what you're in, eventually they are all going to go, and I think it's still to come, because my chart of the year really for 2025 is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and here is why. We can see, now I'm not a huge fan of the halving cycle being such an important influence anymore for Bitcoin. I think as there's more and more institutional adoption, that it becomes less relevant. And to be honest, if the Trump administration really do make a Bitcoin treasury, I just can't see any way that that is not ridiculously bullish for Bitcoin. I don't know if it'll happen. We can all dream and read the Lummis bill, but let's see. So this cycle, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. These orange horizontal lines are each halving, and these blue horizontal lines are the 1st of January for each year. And what we can see is that the new year following a halving, 4-year cycle basically, has always marked the start of a massive altcoin rally, alt season. The first one, of course, was ICOs. This second one was NFTs. I don't know what's going to be the big one behind this one. Is it going to continue to be meme coins, or is it going to be AI or some stuff with more utility? Who knows? I don't really feel like it's started yet, but what we can see, and I know that it's only 2 events, which is not really a massive history, is it? But we can see in this Bitcoin dominance chart that always the start of the year is a bit of a turning point, certainly for the first couple of months. And sometimes the first couple of months it takes a bit of time. We can see this if we go back to 2017 alt season, but sometimes we just move right out of the gate, as we did in the kind of 2021 alt season. So this for me is the biggest chart, because it says that the alt season has not yet happened. Now, sometimes, obviously, the start of the year is a turning point, not in such a good way for altcoins. That certainly happened in 2018. That certainly was the case in 2022. So, it's a little bit of a lottery because we have such limited history. But based on the previous 2 New Years following halving, we have seen the start of a massive alt season after a long period sideways for alts, and I kind of feel like that we are going to come to that. We haven't had it yet. We haven't had the alt season where you could literally throw shit on the wall and it will stick and go, so let's see. It's certainly going to be exciting. And if we don't initially, sometimes I remember when I first started a hedge fund, it's really depressing to start a year with losses or on the back foot, or feeling like, you've made mistakes. Sometimes at the start of the year, it's a really good idea to see how stuff sets up and be ready and kind of stalk entries and stuff. So it wouldn't be terrible to have a little bit of a pullback to start the year, and opportunities to come. Sometimes the trend of January lasts into February. Sometimes we go sideways for a month. If we can see here, it was the end of February before we really took off with this alt season back in 2017. So be patient, but good things are coming. That's my favourite chart for 2025. Let's see if it plays out. So I've got some chart requests today. The first one we're going to look at is Ripple, which of course in this sideways correction, if we go to the weekly, you can see where we are. Now we can apply some fib rules in Ripple to where we are. I'm going to take some scribbles off. If we measure from the high in 2018 to the low that we made in 2020, you can see that we reversed on this weekly chart at the 786 fib level. That's quite important because the fib rules say that if you do that and you close back underneath the 61.8 on the back test, that you will do a bigger pullback to the 38.2. So this 2.09 on a weekly close basis is really important for Ripple, and if we are going to see a bigger pullback, which I'm not convinced of, that would be the trigger. And at the moment we are holding very nice above this support, so I really don't see kind of any thing to worry about. And even if we look underneath this level, and even if we close underneath it on the daily, and as long as we don't close underneath it on the weekly, I see this as really a bullish pennant consolidation. But as you can see, this previous swing low, this previous wave 4, 1.34 is where we go to. And honestly, it's because we don't know how the year will start. Remember, in a bull market, in previous bull runs, we have seen in Bitcoin and other assets easily, 23 or 30 or 40% pullbacks, and then literally turn on a dime and go straight back up again. That's how it works. And a really sharp pullback to this level would be a massive opportunity, even though when it's happening it would be really scary. But that would be like the fib pattern for Ripple. So at the moment, we're holding support, we're going sideways. Yeah, let's wait and see how it plays out. Okay, next chart request is Peanut. Let's see if I've got Peanut ready. Here we go, Peanut. Now, Peanut for me is at a pretty key support. So just like the chart for Ripple that we looked at, which rallied to a 786 fib, if we look at where we are in Peanut, we have pulled back to a 786 fib retrace, and we've validated these fib levels with really clear reaction at other fib levels. This 50%, this 61.8 was really sharp, this 50% in the middle. So for me, this is a really valid fib level. If we close and hold underneath 0.61, we are likely to continue to retest the lows at 0.08, unfortunately. So far, we're now holding this level and looking for a bounce. We could also say in a correction, a measured move. This is a very nice clear three waves in the middle here. So if I measure this first swing high to low, project it from this high, where we're at this swing is 61.8 of the first swing. So this is really key support, and if this fails, we are headed back to retest the lows in Peanut. So far on lower time frames, when this really gritty year end, is this a higher low? It feels like we've gone 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 back. We are due at least another swing higher, and we will have bottomed. Just the same for fib rules that we talked about in Ripple. We have bottomed and we are on our way higher on a close above 1.01. And if we can launch off the lows here, that's our first target. So 1.0197 and above there, yes, we are in the next swing higher. So then we can say the same thing, three waves, 1, 2, 3. So we can confirm we've bottomed above 1.01. For now, we're just sideways building a base. Not sure which way this one is going to go. Okay, next request is Griffin. Let's take a look at where. Here we go. No. Can't find stuff. Here we go. Griffin. Test Griffin. We go to the weekly on this one. We don't have that much chart history. If we go to the daily, though, let me take everything off. You can see this is one chart that's had a very nice 5-wave rally from the early December low, and here we are going sideways. We have retested this swing low, and the same thing, I think we are due, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, we're due a wave 5 in Griffin. We could do the same thing with fib retrace levels from the low in this wave 3. We have pulled back 50%, and we are holding this 50% pretty nicely. We could also say that if this was our first swing lower, this was our ABC for the B leg, this C leg, it doesn't look to me like it's quite complete. And if I go to the 4 hour, I can explain why. Here we can see very clearly 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and we've really only done 1 swing. So I feel like we are owed either a retest of the lows here and a retest of this 50% level, and 928 for me is the ideal support level here. So I don't think this is quite over, and I'd like to see one more, but this is where, you know, where you buy closest to where you're wrong. And if this level doesn't hold, potentially we will do one more swing lower in a bigger ABC equal measured move, and then the target would be down towards this 786 fib level in the equal measured move, which is around 500, unfortunately. So I don't know if this level is going to hold or not, but I think that we are, you know, we're either flat sideways or headed lower. I really don't, you know, I keep saying don't diddle in the middle. This is the middle of the range. Try and play the edges of the range if you can. So test Griffin potentially has a retest of 950 that it owes us. Okay, there's a few other really nice charts out there in these smaller. One of them is Imperial. Now, this one has made a very nice 5 waves up from the low in July. This is a weekly chart in Imperial, EMPYREAL. It's bounced from a 61.8 fib level. If I look at it on the daily, it's the daily 50 moving average. It's 61.8. We paused in the middle here at this 50%. I'm going to go down to the 4 hour again with this one, because as you know, between the 61.8 and the 38.2 is like the golden ratio zone where you tend to knock around. So when you bounce from a 61.8 and you get above the 50% pivot level in the middle, which we have done and was clearly a pivot level here, resistance and then support, then you are likely to reverse at this 38.2 and come back to the middle like this. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, gosh, this has taken off without me and I've missed it, that would be the most likely pattern, and a pullback buy that holds 250, 256 would be ideal. Now sometimes when you bounce from it, you keep going and you go up to this 236. But at that point, so we will do it in 5 waves, at that point you would still be owed 50% swing back. So be patient. This one is kind of going a little, it's got a little bit too far for a kind of swing buy here, buy pullbacks, but this pattern is pretty bullish. I like it. Let's take a look at Trisig, another one that Trisigma that's really kind of outperforming. Very similar bullish patterns. This one, you know, we could argue from the lows in December, we've had a really nice 5 wave rally potentially, but we've had a very nice 3 wave pullback to the 4 hour moving averages. If we measure from where we are, from these lows all the way back, sometimes if I'm not sure where we are, where the low is, I put it to 0, because let's face it, these all start, they're maths numbers, they all start at 0. So wait, no, hold on. And you can see in this one, instead of the 61.8, we are bouncing from a 50%. So the fib rules that apply here, when you make a very nice 3 wave measured move back to a 50% retrace like we have just done here in Trisig, then your first target is this 38.2 on the back test, because remember, fibs are like a ladder. The previous one that you drop underneath is resistance. That's certainly true here with this 236 fib. We couldn't get above it, so we were still in a downtrend. So now our resistance has moved down to 0.0333 and above 0.0333, because we've bounced from a 50%. We're going to look for a 50% retrace going the other way. So this is our first target, and our second target is up here, 385, and above that 50% level we're going up, because that 50% level, what you sometimes see, either we're going to keep going here and build a bottom, but if we get above it 50%, then we will be looking for a 50% retrace, and then that is your ideal buy in Trisigma. And it would say that this beyond that 50% level would say this whole correction is over, next swing higher is underway. So not everything looks terrible. Let's take a look. Next chart request is PENU. Where's that little, here we go, PENU. Penguins. So, yeah, let's measure from the lows and how high we went. So this is the Binance chart. And we're kind of wavering here in the middle. Even if I put this down to 0, it's still, for me, there we go. Now, if we assume that this price obviously started at 0 in maths, you can see that we're doing that same thing, right? With the 61.8 here and the 38.2 here, and here's our 50% pivot level through the middle, which has been a little bit, I think, of support and resistance. It's not terrible. Underneath it, we're likely to go back. Unfortunately, we're still waddling around in the middle and likely to come back to this 61.8, and potentially we'll do a bigger ABC. So this is 1, 2, 3 down for the first leg. This is a very nice 5 ways, which is why I'm not sure that we're going to make new lows, but we're chopping around in between that golden ratio zone, unfortunately, here in PENU. And if we lose this, at the moment we're looking underneath this 50% level, right? Sometimes you can have a look and you close back above. That's where those long tails come from, like here. But if we were to get stuck underneath this level and it becomes resistance, there is a chance that we continue lower back, unfortunately, to the bottom of this sideways range in PENU. So I'm really watching, I would watch what happens here. And if you continue high, these golden ratio zones between the 61.8 and 38.2, if we bounce out of them, next fib higher, so the next one up would be 0.05 if we break these highs, and if we continue lower, 0.014. So I really don't see any trend at the moment. These hourly moving averages are flat, and here we are in the middle. Don't diddle in the middle, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get a nice dip or some reversal price action if you are waiting to buy this. If you're in it and you're just holding, it's not really going up or down at the moment. It's just unfortunately chopping sideways. Good luck.